Welcome to Adventures in Freeze Drying. Today, we are going to make a classic side and see how it will freeze dry and rehydrate. Good old green bean casserole. We're not going to add all the French fried onions at the end. I think I'm going to go ahead and put them through the freeze dryer, even though they're fairly dry, and make a packet for them to go on top once we get this rehydrated and ready to go again. So hang with me and we'll get all the dumping done, which is a great thing about this casserole. It's kind of a dump and bake casserole. So let's go ahead and let the dumping begin. So I'm going to start by dumping my thawed frozen green beans. They're not perfectly thawed yet, but that's okay. I'm going to put in my Swiss cheese. Need a half cup of sour cream also. So just put that in there and get that measured out. There we go. That looks to be about a half cup of sour cream. I need a can of cream of mushroom soup. This is where you could also use your homemade cream of mushroom soup. Does not have to be condensed cream of mushroom soup. Especially if you had some that had been freeze dried, you could easily add some thickened, reconstituted, rehydrated soup to that. We want half of these French fried onions in here, not the whole thing, so you're going to put the other half on top. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in, saving half of this for the freeze dryer. A teaspoon of soy sauce. Probably should have done that after my garlic salt. A teaspoon of garlic salt. And then you're going to add some pepper to taste. If you don't like a lot of pepper, you don't need to add a lot of pepper. If you like a lot of pepper, add some more pepper. So I'm just going to add about like that. Get this all stirred together well. And then we're going to go ahead and let this bake for 30 minutes. And if it's not quite ready, then I'll just add some time after 30 minutes. So we'll see you when this comes out of the oven. The green bean casserole just came out of the oven. You can tell it's still even basically boiling. It's very hot. We're going to go ahead and let this cool completely, and then we'll get it spread out on one large freeze drying tray and get it frozen solid. So one batch of the green bean casserole doesn't even fill a large tray. It'd probably just fill a medium tray. I'm going to go ahead and take this to my freezer, get it frozen solid, and then I'll see you when it's coming out of the freeze dryer. It has been about 42 hours since I started my load. I always have 24 hours of extra dry time, so we've done about 19 hours of extra dry time on this. I'm going to go ahead and check and make sure it's dry. It should be, but you always check before you absolutely end it. So I hit cancel. I don't do anything here until I'm sure it's dry. Once I'm sure it's dry, I can choose defrost or no defrost, but this gives me that more dry time if I need it. So I'm going to go ahead and vent my machine and get this open, and we'll check on the food. This is the green bean casserole, and that is super duper breaky. I don't feel any cold spots in it. The way it's holding together as I move it, I'm going to count that as dry. Just it's good styrofoamy texture. So the green bean casserole is dry. I'm going to get this bagged up, and then we'll see you in the kitchen. I did take those French fried onions that were left over from making the casserole, the green bean casserole, and I freeze dried them even though they were already dry. And I'm going to bag these separate from the rest of the green bean casserole, so when you're ready to throw it together, you can throw these on top at the end and still get that crunch on top. Let's go ahead and rehydrate this green bean casserole I made. Inside my bag, let's see here if I can get this open. I did put those onions, the fried onions, on the top in there. And the rest of this I'm just going to put in this bowl. And I'm going to start with 1 cup of boiling water, and I'll add that here in just a second, and we'll see where that gets us, and we'll go from there. So adding 1 cup of boiling water to begin with. And this is the full batch of green bean casserole. I did not break this up at all. And that has just sucked the water right in. Not that you want this runny. This isn't soup. This is a casserole. But I'm guessing it's going to need a little bit more to get where we need it to be, just because I still have some hard chunks. So I'm going to add another 1/2 cup of boiling water, I believe. Finding a stem from the green beans. That's what you get when you buy Walmart brand green beans, I guess. So I still have some hard chunks. Some of this is a little runnier than what I would want it to be. So I'm hopeful here that by the time this sucks everything up, we'll be good. So I'm going to cover this with a towel, and we're going to let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then we'll give it a check. It's been about 5 minutes, so let's go ahead and check on our green bean casserole. The consistency to me seems to be about right. I'm not feeling any hard spots by spoon. So there's just one thing left to do. We need to add the French fried onions to the top of our green bean casserole. And now let's do a taste test. Let's give this a taste test. That's every bit as good as when I made it. Okay, excellent. Freeze dry this. Yes, that's awesome. This recipe and all my recipes are on freezedryingcookbook.com. All of my accessories are from freezedryingsupplies.com, from pre-cut parchment to stackers, the things that make freeze drying easier. Thank you for joining me on Adventures in Freeze Drying. We'll see you next time.